Lena adjusted her backpack and took a deep breath of the crisp autumn air. The Appalachian wilderness stretched before her, a vast sea of gold, red, and orange leaves that rustled softly in the afternoon breeze. She turned to her friends, Mark, Rachel, and Josh, who were equally mesmerized by the beauty of the forest. "This is going to be amazing," Rachel said, her brown eyes gleaming with excitement. "I've been dying for a trip like this." Josh smirked. "Well, if you get eaten by a bear, don't say I didn't warn you." Mark chuckled, slinging his arm around Josh. "Relax, man. We're experienced hikers. Nothing's going to happen." Lena nodded, but deep down, she felt a strange unease. She had been hiking countless times before, but something about this forest, this particular stretch of trees, felt off. She couldn't put her finger on it, so she shook the feeling away. They had planned this trip for months, a 3-day excursion deep into the Appalachian wilderness, far from the noise of civilization. It was supposed to be an escape, a reset from the pressures of their daily lives. They had no idea what awaited them in the depths of the forest. The first few hours of the hike were uneventful. The sunlight filtered through the dense canopy, casting dappled patterns on the forest floor. Birds chirped, and the occasional squirrel darted up a tree, sending leaves fluttering down. They laughed, talked about life, and enjoyed the sense of freedom that only nature could provide. As the afternoon stretched on, they reached a small clearing and decided to take a break. Mark pulled out a map and traced their route with his finger. "We should be near an old campsite soon," he said. "It's been abandoned for years, but it should still be a decent spot to set up for the night." Rachel wiped sweat from her brow. "Sounds perfect. My legs are killing me." Josh took a swig of water and glanced around. "Anyone else feel like it got quieter?" Lena paused and listened. He was right. The constant hum of the forest, birds, insects, rustling leaves, had faded into an eerie silence. A heavy stillness settled over them, as if the trees themselves were holding their breath. Mark forced a laugh. "You guys are paranoid. Come on, let's keep moving." The group pressed on, but the unsettling quiet lingered. Lena couldn't shake the feeling that something unseen was watching them. By dusk, they reached the old campsite. It was nothing more than a clearing with a few remnants of a fire pit and weathered logs arranged in a circle. The trees around it loomed tall, their twisted branches clawing at the darkening sky. "All right, let's set up before it gets too dark," Mark said, trying to keep the mood light. They worked quickly, pitching their tents and gathering firewood. Soon, a small fire crackled, casting flickering shadows across the clearing. The warmth and light helped push back the unease, and they settled in for the night. As they ate, they shared ghost stories, laughing off the fear that still clung to the edges of their minds. But as the night deepened, the laughter faded, replaced by a growing tension none of them could explain. Then, around midnight, it happened. A soft rustling came from the darkness beyond the firelight. At first, they thought it was an animal, but then they heard it, small, shuffling footsteps. Then a voice. "Can you help us?" The group turned to see 2 children standing at the edge of the clearing. A boy and a girl, both around 10 years old, dressed in old, ragged clothes. Their faces were pale, their expressions blank. Lena stepped forward. "Are you lost?" The girl nodded. "We need help. We can't find our way home." Something felt wrong. The children stood unnaturally still, their voices flat and emotionless. Then Lena noticed their eyes, completely black, no whites, no irises, just endless voids. A cold wave of fear washed over her. She stepped back. "Where are your parents?" The boy took a step forward. "Please let us in your tent. We're cold." The fire flickered. The air grew heavy. The group was silent, frozen in place. Every instinct told Lena to run, but her body refused to move. Then the girl's head tilted slightly. "We can't come in unless you invite us." That broke the spell. Lena grabbed her flashlight and shined it directly at them. The children let out a low, guttural hiss and stepped back into the darkness. The group watched in horror as they slowly faded into the trees, their black eyes the last thing to disappear. No one slept that night. At dawn, they packed up and left. But as they reached their car, they found something waiting for them. Tiny, childlike footprints in the dirt, and scrawled on the windshield in smeared, muddy letters, "Let us in." The whispers followed them home. At first, it was subtle. Shadows moving at the edge of their vision. A chill creeping through the house, even when the heat was on. Then, the knocking began. Late at night, soft taps against the windows. A child's voice barely above a whisper. "Let us in." Lena refused to answer. So did the others. But the knocking grew more insistent. The voices became clearer. Then, one night, Mark broke. He opened the door. Rachel's scream shattered the silence. Mark's face twisted in horror as something unseen yanked him forward. The door slammed shut behind him. They never saw Mark again. The police found no trace of him. No forced entry, no footprints, just an open door and a lingering sense of something wrong. One by one, they disappeared. Rachel vanished a week later. Josh lasted 2 months before he, too, was gone. Lena was the last. She moved, changed her name, did everything to escape. But the whispers found her. Tonight, as she sat in her darkened apartment, she heard it again. A soft knock, a child's voice. "Let us in." She closed her eyes and let the darkness take her. The Devil's Tramping Ground, located in Bear Creek, North Carolina, is a mysterious and intriguing site that has captured the imagination of many. This circular patch of land, approximately 40 feet in diameter, has been the subject of local legend and folklore for centuries. The origins of the Devil's Tramping Ground legend are unclear, but it is believed to have originated in the 18th or 19th century. One story behind the legend tells of a group of settlers who arrived in the area and discovered a strange, barren circle of land. According to the story, the settlers soon realized that nothing would grow within the circle, and that any object placed within its boundaries would be thrown out or destroyed. The Devil's Connection. The most popular explanation for the strange occurrences at the Devil's Tramping Ground is that it is a spot where the devil himself walks or tramps. According to local legend, the devil appears at the site, usually at night, and paces back and forth within the circle. Some believe that the devil is trapped within the circle, while others believe that he uses it as a portal to enter the world. Over the years, numerous reports of paranormal activity have been associated with the Devil's Tramping Ground. Visitors to the site have reported strange occurrences, such as unusual sounds, such as whispers, screams, or laughter, unexplained movements or shadows, feeling of being watched or followed, strange lights or orbs, unusual smells, such as sulfur or brimstone. While the paranormal explanations for the Devil's Tramping Ground are intriguing, there are also several scientific explanations that have been proposed. Some of these include: the site is located in an area of unique geology, with underground caverns and rock formations that could be responsible for the strange occurrences. Soil composition. The soil within the circle is reportedly different from the surrounding soil, with some suggesting that it may be lacking in nutrients or have unusual chemical properties. Folklore and psychology. The Devil's Tramping Ground has been the subject of local legend and folklore for so long that it's possible that the strange occurrences are simply the result of psychological suggestion or the power of suggestion. The Devil's Tramping Ground remains one of the most fascinating and mysterious sites in North Carolina. While the paranormal explanations for the strange occurrences are intriguing, it's also possible that there are scientific explanations for the phenomena. Regardless of the explanation, the Devil's Tramping Ground is a unique and fascinating site that continues to capture the imagination of visitors from around the world. Enter the realm of darkness with Dark Dreamer. Subscribe now and turn on notifications.